Hello and welcome to the 2025 Bonezone painting competition results. So for this competition you either picked from some Graveguard or a White Lord. You can do any combination of these models. You could have a little diorama, you could have a unit, you could have a single model, any combination that you want for them. The competition is sponsored by Artis Opus, so the winners will be receiving some brushes. And the competition is an open style one, so you'll be able to see for a start here the Masters entrance, which will then be followed by the standard category entrance. Because it's an open style competition, there is the opportunity to get gold, silver and bronze even if there are other models of the same standard. So it's not like a standard first, second and third when, if someone's got the gold then everyone else has to kind of put up with it. If there is a piece that is of a gold standard, then it will get a gold trophy even if someone else has already got a gold as well. So it makes it a little bit more fair, but it also makes it a little bit more tricky to do the judging because everything has to be compared to whatever the standard is that's been achieved for that level. Because you have to basically sort through every model and then filter them all out. So it takes a little bit longer, but it kind of makes people feel a little bit happy with the results. As you can see with the standard models here as well, there's quite a lot of standard entrants. I think quite a few people are underestimating their own abilities. And what has happened for this is there were fewer entrants in Masters and there was a lot of entrants in the standard. And a lot of the standard entrants had to be bumped up into Masters. They were only bumped up though if they would get a trophy. So you're not guaranteed a trophy in the open style competition. You can get gold, silver or bronze, or you don't get anything. That is always an option. But if you were good enough to be in Masters and you were bumped up, so you would be at least getting a bronze in Masters if you were bumped up from standard. And that happened quite a bit. So that actually the results are more varied than the Masters and standard categories suggest. To try and counteract that a little bit, anyone that achieves a gold award in the standard category is no longer allowed to enter standard in the following competitions, and they will be required to enter Masters. And it just kind of keeps it fair so that people in standard are generally competing against a standard level, and then the people in Masters are competing against a Masters level. Also, because this isn't a Games Workshop competition, you did not have to follow Games Workshop IP. You can do what you want with these models. You can be very creative in the styles that you use and just whatever you choose to represent with them. So it doesn't have to follow Games Workshop IP at all. It doesn't have to use heavy metal style. Not that Golden Demon does either, but you don't have to use any particular style or anything like that. So for the standard bronze, these are very competently painted models. They have a good quality overall, but there are elements that are not quite as good as the higher levels. They do have good ideas, but there could be elements that aren't as finished, or it just might be a case of the things that they want to achieve, they haven't quite yet mastered the skills to do that, but they are already well on the way to getting there. Standard silver takes that a little bit higher. What you'll see is things become much more complex. They look more competent in their painting ability. They're more confident in how they represent the painting and the style they've chosen to go with. And they look a little bit more polished in general. But there tends to still be certain elements that can be pushed a bit more to raise them to a higher level, but they definitely have elements that are already of exceptional quality. There are also quite a few of the silver standard models to go through. As you can see, there's a large variety in styles and techniques. So as I mentioned, it isn't that you had to follow any particular style or technique to win a trophy. So standard gold, as I mentioned, anyone who gets a standard gold, they are now required to enter the Masters category in the future. You will see some excellent examples of atmosphere, technique, all sorts of brilliant ideas. Really, people are trying to push themselves and they also have the skills to achieve those ambitions. So as you can see, there were some fantastic winners in the gold standard category, and it was a very fine margin between these and the bronze masters. So now going on to the bronze masters, and you're going to be seeing some familiar faces from the standard category earlier in the video, but straight away you can see there is again a slight bump in things like the finish, the quality, the atmosphere, just the environmental artwork, things like freehand. It all just takes it another little step further. And again, for Masters Silver, these are pushing certain elements. Now, it could just be that they're pushing one specific area to a higher standard. It's not like the entirety of the piece is universally better than the previous part. It's just that something has pushed it that little bit further along. The gold standard really is exceptional in multiple different areas, detail, atmosphere, things like that. And finally, we're moving on to the best of show. Now, last year we had a best of show winner from the standard category that was bumped up to gold masters, and the same has happened this year. So this is Drew Paints, and he has done a fantastic piece, an amazing freehand backdrop that's basically a full painting on its own. But the main thing to take from this is, again, the atmosphere of the piece, the storytelling. This is something that you could imagine on like a book cover or a poster. It's got like a John Blanche artwork kind of feel to it. Very, very well done. It's not a case of where you have to just do ultra refinement all the time. You don't have to just spend 1,000 hours doing micro details on things. Sometimes just being a bit more expressive, being creative with the story that you're telling, the atmosphere that you're creating, they can have much more impact sometimes than the ultra micro details. And that's not to say that that isn't also like a perfectly valid way to go. So it just happened that in this case, this element of this artwork just made it stand out. So instantly, myself and the other judge, when we saw this, it was quite an easy decision to pick this as the best of show. It had so much impact with it, and it was very, very competently painted. And the complementary way that the three-dimensional aspect of the work worked with the 2D backdrop, so it wasn't just kind of like pasted on or like just to fill in the background. They actually worked together exceptionally well. So that's the end of the video. I'd like to thank everyone who entered. Thank you as well to my guest judge and to Artis Opus for sponsoring the competition. We will be doing another competition soon, so check on the Discord and on the website. But for now, thank you, and I'll see you next time.